Excuse me, I don't suppose you know whether they possess such a thing as a lost property closet cum service in here, do you? Ah, madame. If you're looking for a lost property, the entire place is a lost property. If you're looking for, shall we say, lost souls, lost husbands, lost hearts, no. I'm just looking for a lost body warmer that my elderly husband left here. Colour? Blue. Navy blue. Shame you're not looking for a navy blue nervous breakdown. We've got several of those. They're littered here, there, and everywhere. In fact, we've got a closet full of them. Well, I'm not. I'm looking for a navy blue body warmer. What sort of place is this? You sure you wouldn't go for something like a bright yellow schizophrenic or something? I mean, they go good with a navy blue body warmer. Who are you? What? Is this... Is this Witherspoon's? It is indeed. Doesn't look like it. There's no sign. No. No, it's an antiquated building. Grade 1, you see. They don't want to sort of deface it or anything. Right. You sure you wouldn't go for a... I mean, it's a good match. There's a fair match. Navy blue body warmer, navy blue nervous breakdown with schizophrenia. Over there, there's a dipsomaniac and in purple. Very sort of poetic purple. Look, I've not come in here to be for someone to sort of... What are you trying to do? Do you sort of put DSM codes and strange, stupid things like that together? Mental codes into dress codes or something? No, but now you suggested it, colorization, genderization of, shall we say, the lesser God-made mortals might work. Clothing categories. Good thought. Good. What are you two doing here? Are you just here to sort of take the mitral from people as they come in? I mean, you meet and greeters to try and upset people or something? Not at all. Not at all. Just a mere little sort of game, mental sort of game or something, synaptic. No, not at all. But I mean, just take James, my colleague here. I mean, he's a drunken dipsomaniac that's dresses and clings to his black leather Hard Rock Cafe jacket and things. And well, how do you perceive him? I don't want to perceive him. I want to know if you've got a lost property. Well, give it a go. Try a little original thought or a little creative cranium conundrum sort of thing. Well, I don't know. What do you want me to try and see? Well, it's an old Haragatovian skin and bone sort of thing, and sinews and soul and sinew, and that's about it, really, isn't it? But what it signals to me when I look here at this friend of mine is sort of a local Daily Mail racist reader, patriotic racism, dark Celtic thing with holds a little bit of a grudge against society itself, but really he's a fairly average Glastonbury gladiator, really. Drug taking, drink ravaged, semblance of sense here and there, dependent on gov.com, of course, for his daily bread. Hovers and works around Witherspoons because he's similar to a paedophile, drawn to the playground of plonk and drink and paedophile. Well, sort of, similes and simile. A paedophile hovers around playgrounds and stuff. He hovers around Witherspoons. Right. The playground of the drunks. Really. So, you two pseudo-intellects, what are you, ex-Oxbridge or something? Masquerading as frauds and fakes. I've seen millions of you. Shallow pond swimmers. Burnt out brains. Booze and God knows what else. And pretending to be this and that, Freudian fakes. Could say that. Well, some people may. Well, you just have. But, and what are you existing in? Existence of feeble, futile existences of what? My God, you do get to the point. I mean, you just certainly not honey glazing or sugar coating. But, my darling, well, Well, no, we haven't yet fallen into the drowning pit of despair. Are you sure it's not just a drowning pool of booze hounds that are paddling around in their own piss? Charming. I mean, the table number here. Have you all got numbers? It sort of suits, doesn't it? 13. Is it named of... are you down and out unlucky? Well, in actual fact, we've been moved. We're normally on table 1. What, to signify what? Number 1 intelligence or number 1 drinking capacity? No. Number 1 self-imposed solitary confinement. It's the little den over there that they're varnishing. They've actually thrown us out today and put a, as you say, a ticker tape of red warning similar to somebody's died in there. Well, has anybody died in there? Your brains have died in there. Gosh, what knife dagger within your mouth is quite sharp, isn't it? What do you actually do? If you're self-imposed in exile on table 1 in self-confinement and solitary confinement, what do you do in there? Apart from try to, I don't know, engage in some sort of Witherspoon's wizardry or wisdom of such. It's a complete waste, isn't it? I mean, take for instance, what have you been discussing this morning, you two pseudo-intellectuals? We, madame, have been discussing which was... Donald doesn't agree with me, but then again, why should he? I've been discussing or putting forward my perception of gravity, where it came from, where it's going, or back to, and what did you seemingly... Well, I say it's sort of that we will be discussing the solidification of gravity, and that it obviously comes from the biggest of bangs, from something less than an atom, and this is what we're doing. Gravity is now all around us, but this is the Big Bang theory of it all expanding into the infinity, as it were. The infinity, gravity expansion. And the solidification, why would that happen? Well, sort of, if we had the right, shall we say, processing, it would then obviously retract to less than an atom, including all of us and then all of infinity would retract, you see, the solidification. Whereas Donald here sees it as a precipitation of like a rainfall almost. He sees it more of a spiritual water vapor type of thing that condenses in the heavens and then rains down in a sacred rain. Oh, God. But I see it as Big Bang expanding, of course. Precipitation or solidification of gravity. I tell you what, you two do sort of bounce around in buffoonery, don't you? Boffins of utter bullshit. Oh, madame, I suggest that you two seemingly... I don't know. What are you supposed to be? Physicist and a what? Quantum mechanics. I see. Do you two not engage in normal work, I take it, to presume to just, as I suggest... in this pretense, suggest anything that... I suggest that what you are engaging is utter vulgarity, and it's certainly, I'm so good job I've not had lunch, because, you'd certainly upset that. Doubtless your poor wives and your poor darling partners are at home to try and bring in the bacon. Well, the only bacon I'd ever bring, or that I would allow to be brought to my table, madame, is that has been captured, and preferably, you had the sin captured within and then driven off some nearby cliffs into the sea to be based in the brine of, and washed and cleansed in the ocean, as it were. They are biblical. Pearls before swine is what I'm hearing. What, in God's name, do you do apart from just pontificate piffle between each other? Charming, madame. Wisdom of Witherspoons, there's some intellectual incest that you're spewing into one's shell like. This is definitely a Witherspoon's whirlpool, a drowning pool of desperados. Careful, madame. Don't forget They've just recently placed a camera above you, the all-seeing eye. Doubtless it has a... Be careful. It's Starmer's... well, it's Kia's Stasi, really. Starmer's Stasi is watching over us. Be careful what you say. Good Lord. They might cart you away. They'll cart... Me! They'll cart you two away in chains, more like. Desperados and thieves, a nest of thieves. Oh, darling. So, apart from this, I mean, is that all you... Well, we were just running by each other the decalcification of one's pineal gland and trying to increase the adrenal, or shall we say the testosterone, through starvation and synaptic starvation. Not at all. Not at all. Through, but the hunger artist here is increasing his testosterone adrenal gland into sort of almost a, shall we say, a cranial wash. He's creating a force, a synaptic stimulus come static that, you see, we're thinking that the the spinal fluid is somewhat solidifying, similar to gravity. Not different methods, not totally solidifying, but it's slow moving. Whereas what's needed, what we think, is that, and what causes this spinal fluid, shall we say, to flow a little more quickly, in between the, the brain hemispheres, right and left, causing a cleansing of almost as though if you'd be looking at the dorsal stream of one's mind. We were thinking that the lichen of the stones, the pineal gland as a stone, a calcified stone, would be washed of this leftover lichen, as it were. What a load of utter rubbish! This is what idle hands and heads get up to. This seeming camaraderie of clowns, creative clowns as it be, cranial. In fact, I tell you what, the guy that put the camera in, they'd been better drilling holes, and they'd been better in trepanning into your skulls to let out the demons. And the drink, we don't drink. But then again, I must admit, a couple of 100 years ago, you'd have been burnt as a witch. But, you've got a thing there. You two ought to be sectioned into Wixley. They've closed Wixley, dear. Donald, unfortunately, did spend a few weeks in there. But, I bet he did. But you see, I think you're onto something there. Heaven forbid, Copernicus Galileo, endangered species of synaptic wisdom, we're always close to death. And this is what we were talking about, being close to the edge. But you're not wrong, madame, with the madness and genius being a fine line. It's the same with love and hate and God knows what. But this trepanning of cranial capacities, I must admit, Elon Musk is engaged in this implantation of various stimulation. He wouldn't do better than to come here and sort of try it on, drain a few of these pickled heads. You're right, it's a thing that I myself would probably engage in. And, well, these Christian community of booze hounds, unfortunately, could probably do with a synaptic rush, as it were, from brain stimulus. I think you're onto something. God, it's certainly you're not onto it. Oh, I don't believe what I've stumbled into here. So you're believing that adrenal starvation, testosterone rush, cleaning one's calcified pineal gland, that you're thinking is, some sort of mountain stream water. There's breaking loose barnacles from your... not a bad way of putting it. It would give capability and more capability. Well, we're looking at things, it's like a car accident. We've just been discussing there. When you're involved in car accident, I've been involved quite a few. You do surprise me. Well, not that you might be away with the fairies instead of concentrating on the road. But what I was thinking was that, it gives you a massive increase of synaptic speed, as it were, and slows the obviously the catastrophe that's unfolding in front of you. You see what I mean? Everything slows down to nanoseconds, and well, the synapse speed. And we were discussing that possibly, if through endeavour we could put together shared sensory synesthesia, which is what we think takes place when you're into a certain death situation, a certain death. Well, Donald, my blended colleague here was also discussing that he'd been involved in some sort of dangerous discourse where an axe was involved and some Nordic mad, crazy, almost Viking Norseman, well, tried to cut his cranium in two. Oh, really? You do? Oh. Oh, well, anyway, let's get back to things. We were thinking if we could increase the flow by certain methods of starvation and stimulus in the way of, stimulants. And what? Coke, you mean? I can see that. I'm dealing with what looks like a couple of hamsters in wheels. Just feed them on Coke, you mean? Field mice. Field mice who are wanting field medals. Not quite. I mean, my dear friend was thinking more on the lines of caffeine inducement and not cocaine, and he doesn't want a field medal anyway. He's thinking Nobel Peace Prize type of thing. Oh, I bet he is. And you two balloons were full of nothing but hot air that really are thinking that, I mean, I'm not being funny, but I can see what's going to happen here again. You're like a couple of hot air balloons. Your heads, you'll end up exploding one day, and all that will be left is a little ring piece of where the bullshit or cigarettes being blown up each other. I think we've gone far enough with this discourse, madame. I think, apart from that, I mean, we're talking about field medals and Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think we need to bring it down to genitalia. No. Oh God, to think. What was I saying? What you'd come in here for a body warmer? That's right. How have I been distracted by you two people? What? Who are you? I think you'll find lost property down. Just go down the stairs and it's at the far end. Good God, let me get away from you. Send me crazy. I'll be joining you in Whipsley.